Back in 1991, a very important dinner took place. Actually, Bill Gates' father invited some guests, the story goes, to his home, and included in those guests was Warren Buffett and Bill, his son, Bill Gates Jr., and other people. And that was the night that Bill Gates Sr. said, I want you guys to write down on a piece of paper the one word that has been most responsible for your success. And obviously, you can define success however you want to. I mean, we all have our own definition. Those guys, in the world's eyes, have been very successful financially and as investors and creators, all kind of different things that they've been involved in. But it was interesting that both guys wrote down a word on their paper. He took the papers up, compared the answers, and both guys had written the word focus. Focus, that's what we're gonna be talking about today on the podcast, and I'm wondering how focused you are. So welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. I'm pumped up to hang out with you, and we're gonna be talking about focus these next few weeks. The last couple of weeks, for those of you who subscribe and you've been following what we do, we've talked about passion and purpose, and we actually did 5 episodes each week for you, just kind of drop several things to help you think about passion and purpose. And I think those things are really important, but without focus, passion, you can have the best purpose in the world and you can be as passionate as you want to, but if you don't really have focus to get some things done, you're going to struggle. So thanks for being with us today. We're going to talk about focus today, and actually these next few weeks, I'm going to take what we talk about today and dive in a little deeper on each one. And so we're just going to drop 1 episode a week for the next several weeks, but I'm excited about this idea of focus. Now, as you start to think about this topic today, my question for you is, how are you doing when it comes to your focus? Have things gotten out of focus for you? We obviously are in a kind of a weird time in our world. The last year and a half has been pretty wild with things going on, and yet, as I'm around leaders, all of a sudden, I'm feeling like there's a little bit of a lack of focus. There is this, are things ever going to be the way they were? And we almost, if we're not careful, can hide behind this excuse of things are hard and there's a pandemic going on and people are, struggling. And it's almost like we can lose sight of our goals, what we're really trying to do. And so if today finds you there where you're just sort of waiting on something to happen to make things better, I just want to challenge you today to think about your own focus and what are you doing to make things better to the people around you. Because here's the reality. For those of you who are leaders, and really everybody who listens to the podcast here, you're a leader in one way or shape or form, as they say. I want to remind you that people are depending on you to be focused, to be bringing your best to the game every day. And so, or as we've been saying, the last several months, that to be chasing greatness, that there's greatness in you. You need to be after it. You need to be pursuing that, because when you tap into who you are and your talents, your gifts, all your abilities, all those things, you're positioning yourself to have maximum influence, and you're actually helping the people around you. But if you've lost focus, it can be disastrous. Now, when I think about focus, and I've talked about this a little bit before in the business setting, but I have a friend of mine who's helped me to think about this a little. Actually, a guy on my team has helped me to think about this pretty clearly. His daughter is into archery, and we're in a meeting one day, and he draws this archery target on a whiteboard, and it was pretty fascinating when he started talking about he goes to these archery competitions to watch his daughter, and he said when they hit the target anywhere on the outside, but if it's inside the rings, they begin to get points. But as you get closer and closer to the middle, the points go up. And obviously, if you hit the bullseye, that's the force multiplier. That's where you really get your most points. And so I think in business, or even in leadership, outside of the 9 to 5, we talk about what goes on from 5 to 9 really is just as important, if not more important, than what goes on from 9 to 5. I think in our lives at work and at home, we have a tendency to think we're hitting a target somewhere on the outer rings. We're getting a few points, but what we say is that's really sporadic. That's not strategic. We're not maniacally focused on what matters most. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today. And I want to give you that picture of a bullseye. We'll throw it up here, or a target, and we'll throw it up here. And And I want to give you 5 ways to think about your focus here. So let's start with the outer ring, and we're just gonna kind of narrow our focus as we go here today. And then again, I'm gonna spend some time unpacking each one of these over the next few weeks to help you really lock in and live with the most focus you've ever had in your life. I think this really could be very helpful to you. So I hope you and your team will listen. We'll share together, have some of these conversations. It'd be great. Look forward to your comments and any questions you have. Love to address those as well. But you'll help us think about focus even better, and we're going to help you think about it maybe a little differently than what you have in the past. So let's start this outer ring, and I want to challenge you to start with your number one goal. Start with your number one goal. Now, you say, how do I think about my number one goal? Because I've got lots of goals. Well, that's great, but I want you to think about your number one goal. Now, I read a book. I'll go into this a little more next week as we talk about goal setting, maybe a little more specifically than we have in a long time. But I read a book recently by Brian Tracy. He's a motivational speaker, sales trainer guy who written a lot of stuff. And I read a book he wrote called Bullseye. And in this book, he challenged the reader to make a list of 10 goals you want to accomplish. I think it was in the next year is what he said. So I think 10 goals is a lot. I'm not necessarily advocating for 10. I'll actually say a little more on that next week on why 5 might be a better number for you. But let's think about your list of goals. If you wrote some things down, and you might even just take, now we got 100 days left in the year, something like that. And so as you think about your next 100 days, do you have 4 or 5 things that you really want to accomplish before the year's over? Now Brian Tracy says this, once you have your list of goals, he said, what if you could wave a magic wand and one of those things would be true in 24 hours? I mean, it would just happen in 24 hours. For me, I've got a book I've got it, the draft, but I got to get it published. I mean, I got some things. That would be one of them. I'd love to wave a wand and that be done. But I've got a couple other goals I'm going, I'm not sure I wouldn't rather have this done. We got some sales stuff we're doing with our company and some of that kind of stuff. So as you think about your list of goals, and I encourage you, maybe even pause here and make a list of maybe 5 or 6 things you'd love to get done between now and the end of the year. As you do that, is there one of those that you said, if I could give you Aladdin's lamp here and you could rub the lamp and one of those would be done today, which one would it be? I'm guessing that's your number one goal. So that's the one I want you to start with. That's the place that you start. So here's the second thing. I think as we begin to think about focusing our lives, focusing on our target, I would just remind you that you have to unleash energy. You have to unleash your energy on this goal. Let's say in this case, if we pick a number one goal, you got to put your energy toward that goal. And when I say energy, again, I'll unpack what I mean by that in a couple of weeks. But this idea of energy, I'm around so many leaders right now who are struggling to bring their best. I mean, it's almost like they've pulled back. They're half-hearted. Many people I'm around all of a sudden feel like they're disengaged when I look at them. They're looking to, how can things be easier, or this is too hard, and they just when things get hard, they just pull back and they don't really put their energy into it. So, I don't know where you are today, but if you're struggling to bring your energy, I'm telling you, you're going to have a hard time achieving what it is you want to. If you think about that goal, again, that might be the best place to start when you think about unleashing your energy. But when I say your energy, your attitude and really your resources, the people around, all those kind of things. We'll unpack that, and I'll give you some really good ideas here as we go forward over the next few weeks. But you've got to unleash your energy towards your goals. So that's number 2. Here's the third one, and this is different than your energy. Your energy is more of your mindset, but your schedule is this next one. You've got to commit time. You got to commit time if you're going to really be focused. I mean, focus is about time. It's like, what do you do with your time? Where are you pointing your time? And is your calendar really a reflection of what you say is important? And the best question really to think about that would be, pull your calendar out. Maybe it's on your phone. Maybe it's on your computer. Maybe you have the old school calendar, or you got one of those big desk pads. I don't know what you got, but hope you got a calendar. I'm sure If you don't have a calendar, that ain't answers the question. But if you do have a calendar, look back over the last 30 days. How much time have you spent on that number one goal in the last 30 days? Some of us just have an aspiration. It's not really a goal. We have a dream, but a dream is not really going to get us to where we want to go. A goal is something that we're going to work toward. We're going to put our energy toward, but then we're going to commit time on it. So do you have time that you're spending every day on your number one goal? You need to spend some time and some energy every single day on that number one goal. We'll unpack that much more. But again, today, just trying to give you a way to think about how to focus. I love picking a goal. I love bringing a mindset toward that goal. And then thirdly, I love the idea of committing time to that goal every single day. There's a reflection in my calendar. The next one I would give you, the fourth, I'll just kind of pull this in because I think it's the one that really is between us and the bullseye. This is the kind of that inner ring, and I'm going to call it obstacles. Like you've got to overcome obstacles if you're really going to hit the middle of the target. You're going to be bullseye focused. And so we got all kind of obstacles in our lives. We got all kind of distractions. We got things that we're up against that are, technology and email and meetings. And I mean, there's all kind of things that could be obstacles between you and your goal. Procrastination. I mean, a lot of things that can get between us and really what we're trying to do. But I want you to think about the obstacles in your life. Have you really even named what they are? And are you working to overcome those? There's something that is at war between you and your goal, between you and your focus. And if you don't recognize that and you don't take that on and you don't try to overcome that or remove those obstacles, you're going to really struggle to hit your target. And then finally, I would say the one in the middle is you just got to finish what you start, right? You started on your number one goal on the outer ring. And so now in the middle, we're going to talk about what it means to finish what you start. And so this is that idea that we're not just getting those projects to the 50-yard line or even into the red zone. It's football season. We're trying to get down inside the 20 and we feel good about that. Now you got to get the ball across the goal line if you really want to score points. And so I want to encourage you to just ask yourself, are there some things right now that are left undone? Some things that you really do need to get across the finish line so you can feel great about it as you end the year here. And so you'll notice on the five that I've given you here that we want to start with our number one goal. We want to unleash energy. We want to commit time. We want to overcome obstacles, and ultimately we want to finish what we start. Well, those, you'll see I kind of reverse engineered the word focus there. And so I want to that'll be a good way for you to think about focus. But ultimately it's the idea that we're going to take something that's a big idea and we're going to drill down until ultimately we finish that. And there's lots of ways to do that. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to leave you today with a thought. There's an old Bible word. I mean, you guys know if you listen to the show very often that I'm a Bible reader. I talk about that sometimes. And there's an old word in the Bible, and whether you read a Bible or not, you've heard this word. It's the word sin. It's the word sin. We think about sin in a certain way. We hear the word sin, a person's a sinner, a person, and we have this mindset about sin. Like when you hear the word, what do you think of? You think about, I did something wrong. It's like I messed up. Well, that's actually not what the word sin means. The word sin is a word that comes from an old Greek word. I think the word is hamartia. It literally means to miss the mark. It's an old archery term. It means there's literally a standard, and I was supposed to shoot at that standard, but I missed it, and so I missed the mark. Well, I'm going to say it's leadership. It might even be life sin if I missed the mark or the bullseye because I didn't even have a target that I was shooting at. It's like I don't even know what the target is. I haven't taken time to name my goals. It really is. It's missing the mark if you don't know what the mark is, first of all. And secondly, it's missing the mark if you do know what the mark is, and yet you don't focus on that mark. So I just want to remind you that things may be challenging. You may have bad circumstances. Things around you are tough. You may have dealt with all kind of stuff over the last few months. But part of it, sometimes we struggle because we bring it on ourselves because we have a lack of focus. And so I just want to, again, encourage you today to be thinking about your focus. We're these next few weeks are going to help you have some really good ideas here that are going to help you in each of these areas to make sure that you're hitting the target, that you're living a life that's on purpose. It is shooting at a bullseye. And as you do that, I'm just convinced your influence is going to grow. You're going to help more people, and you're going to have more joy in your own life. There's nothing better than knowing I've got a goal. I go after that goal. I get past the obstacles, and I'm able to push it across the finish line, get to a great place. And so that's what you're going to be doing over the next few weeks. It's going to be fantastic. So thanks for listening today. I really do. I'm so grateful for all of you who are out there. We've had some really cool stuff in the last few weeks. We hit 10,000 downloads with our podcast, and a lot of fun stuff that's been going on. Continue to push that content out for us. You're the ones who help make this happen. It really wouldn't be a show without you. You're the ones who listen. You're the ones who encourage us and continue to share and spread with your friends. And so I just ask you to continue to do that. Help us spread the word. Hit the like button. That really helps us rise kind of in the SEO, they tell me, or whatever. I don't know, the rankings or something. And so when that happens, more people just organically get the content as well. But really the best way to spread the message is through your help. And so thank you so much for just clicking on that little share button and sending a text to somebody, hey, you need to check this out. If you know somebody right now who's not really as focused as they need to be, or they're struggling a little bit, you might want to push this out over these next few weeks. I think it's going to be very helpful. I know it's an area I'm trying to refocus on some stuff. We talked about that the last few weeks. We remember we reset just a couple months ago in the summer, did some series on that. Now we're back in this idea of chasing greatness. And so as you think about greatness in your life, purpose and passion, those last couple of weeks, really important. But you can have the greatest purpose in the world. You can have all the passion you want. And if you don't have focus, you're going to struggle to really achieve greatness. Let's be focused this week. Let's knock it out of the park. And then next week, if you'll come back, I'm gonna help you as you think about setting your goals. I've got some really great ideas for you. I think that'll be very helpful in goal setting. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening, and keep on chasing greatness.